Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. 3-1, Anguissa show. I'm just going to start the stream and ask, is he the best midfielder in Serie A at the moment? And that's going to be my poll of the day. I think we've got already the best winger in the league with Kvara, who scored a goal today. But wow, Anguissa, what a performance. 2 goals within 12 minutes. Incredible stuff from him. And guys, it's been a while since we last spoke to each other. So yeah, welcome back. And if you are seeing a new setup behind me, it's because I moved into a new apartment. Let me know if the mic is fine, guys, in the chat. I know that there's a few of you in there right now. So just let me know in the chat if everything is good while I set up a poll for you guys to ask if Anguissa is the best in the league. The best midfielder in the league. And obviously, yes or no. All right, sounds great. Cool, the mic is working, everything's good. I'm just asking because it's a new setup, so we can go on with the stream, guys. Yeah, let me know if you like the whole little Napoli setup behind me. I'm not a big fan of this whole thing that I found in the house, but it is what it is. I liked it before when I was in the UK, but we move on and we're digressing. We have to talk about Napoli and that performance, guys. I was shocked, first of all, to see our starting 11 play against Torino because we have a hugely important game against Ajax on Tuesday away from home. And that's going to be extremely difficult for Napoli, extremely important because that's going to decide, I think, more or less who's going to, whoever's going to win that group, they're going to be leading that group pretty much. So that's going to be hugely important. If you win, it goes downhill from there, and then you have to worry a bit less maybe about Champions League going forward. But instead, Spalletti decided to concentrate on the league, and I think maybe that was actually the best choice. I wanted him to do that, but I was surprised he did that. I thought he would have maybe rested a few players, maybe put Juan Jesus instead of Rahmani or Kim, especially maybe Kim, who's played a lot of football lately. Maybe rested, who knows, maybe rested Mairo Rui. But instead, no, he put on the starting 11 and it paid off and everybody played extremely well. But we did see, for example, that Politano towards the end had to go off. Raspadori had to go off. So physically, those two are not maybe at their 100%. And we still have to see if Lozano has 90 minutes in him because it's been a while. It's been a while. Let me see some of the comments, guys, before I go super into the analysis. Let's just warm up a little bit. Let's see who's in the house, guys. Make sure that if you are watching, first off, you're smashing the like button. You're subscribing if for some reason you're not yet subscribed. And then you're also chatting and letting me know your thoughts on the game. And if you are watching this after the video goes live, then comment on the regular comments, guys. I want to see what you guys also have to say, even if it's not live. So let's see. Sal Di Brita says, great start to a packed month. Yeah, I mean, we've got Ajax, then we'll go over what the games we have, but we've got every 3 or 4 days, we've got a game. And I think that's all the way until the middle of the month, until we play Bologna. And then finally, there's a 1-week break between Bologna and the next game, which is Roma. But in between, we've got 4 games. So it's going to be a crazy 2 weeks. Normally versus Torino, it's a tie or we win or lose by 1-0. That's true. Last year, Napoli-Torino, we only unblocked that game at the very end, and it was a bit of a scrappy goal. Koulibaly had to win the ball super high, and then we had to, rely on Osimhen to overpower the defenders. And while that's a totally valid way to win a game, this time, I think against a better Torino, we outplayed them. So it was a completely different situation compared to what we had in previous years. And this team we'll see it in the analysis, this team is playing completely different compared to what they were doing last year. The people that came in so smoothly. It's going beyond, I think, anybody's wildest expectations, which is just incredible. Anthony Navarro, good to have you in the chat. Says, great job on helping Dom out on that video. I loved hearing your thoughts. Speaking to Anthony G. Yeah, guys, against Milan, I had Anthony, I had Daniel Bowen and his friend, and I had Vincenzo that helped out, and they were amazing, brilliant analysis. I love what you guys have to say. So even if it's not always in the form of a video, put it down in the chat, in the comments, because this channel is all about, yes, me presenting a little bit, but it really is about reading your comments and discussing it with everybody else. It's not just about my thoughts, otherwise I wouldn't really go live. I would just, make my own separate little video. Anthony G says, Zambo seems to be feeling more confident offensively ever since he opened his account since Liverpool. That's true. And I think also the way that we've unlocked his potential has a big factor in it. I think before he was always seen as a physical midfielder that was there just to break up the play. Instead, Spalletti has given him or told him that he should be following up an attack, that he should be making those forward runs. And yeah, it took him a while, but this season he's already on 3 goals. So it's great credit to him. Karen Wilson says, great. Let's see, what else? Dulce MJ says, after that performance, yes, good to see you. Mike sounds great. Awesome. Good to know that the mic sounds great. Those of you who've been following Napoli Talk for the last 2 seasons know that sometimes I have mic issues. I can never seem to sort it out, but good to know that this time it's going well. Lusty OG says yes or yes to the poll. I don't even know who voted no. 17% of you voted no. Okay, if you are one of the 17% that voted no, which is actually kind of a lot of people, I want to know why. I want to know who you think might be the best midfielder. And if your answer is Lobotka or Zielinski, then you're totally off the hook. If your answer is anybody else, then I need a breakdown of why you think that player is. Let's see. Who else? Karen Wilson says, great game for Napoli, but Torino is falling apart this year. I was also happy to see Elmas come on. He played so well for us last year that I was sad for him when Kvara came into form. Yeah, I mean, Elmas is one of those players that towards December, January last year, he started doing really well. He scored a great goal against Leicester, scored a great goal against Milan. And then for some reason, he was never given a starting 11 spot consistently. Insigne came back into form. Zielinski started recovering a little bit, and so he found it extremely hard. And then we all thought that he was going to be the natural replacement for Insigne while Kvara gets up to speed. But Kvara has been phenomenal this year, and he's won the Player of the Month in August. Kim Min-jae has won it in September. I mean, these guys are performing incredibly well. And for players that have been in the team for many years, they're looking around and thinking, yeah, we're not guaranteed anything this season. And potentially when Ndombele, Raspadori, and Simeone all get into form, players like Zielinski and Osimhen, they're going to be thinking as well, like, guys, like, are we going to lose our spot? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, especially not with Zielinski, because I think he's levels above Ndombele. But I mean, Osimhen could potentially lose a spot every once in a while because Raspadori performed really well for us in the last few games. Maybe not today, but who knows where his trajectory will lead him because he's been influential recently. Let's see, we've got a €10 donation from Daniel Bowen. Thank you, Daniel, so much for supporting the channel. Not just with your donations, but everything you did, especially last week, filling in for me, man. I appreciate you a lot. It says, what's up, Dom? If you could pick one area of weakness as a team that needs work, what would it be? Wow, that's an extremely difficult question right now. If you had asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said goalkeeper. But Medet's been playing well. I mean, yeah, he could have done a little better maybe in the goal that he conceded today, but the ball did go through 2 people's legs, and he did make some good saves. He is improving with his feet. So whilst yes, that could still be improved, I don't think it's as big of a weakness as it used to be or as we thought it would be. And we're covered as a backup with Sirigu. I think he's a very reliable goalkeeper. So maybe that's not the biggest area, but honestly, I can't see where else. I think on the right, we're pretty good with Lozano and Politano. Politano's coming into form. Lozano, I still believe that he can give us something more than what he's doing. And I still believe that we're going to see some good things out of him, but he needs to start proving that. But on paper, I feel like he can still do a lot more. Other than that, I think we're covered. I think maybe we need a sub for Di Lorenzo. We've seen Zerbin a few times playing right back. We've seen Zanoli a few times play right back. They are just not even close to that same level. We have, for example, Mario Rui and Oliveira on the left-hand side. You know, I think Mario Rui and Oliveira give each other some good competition. I think it's not so straightforward that Mario Rui starts every single game, even though he has consistently been starting. I don't think it's automatic. I think it's always 55-45 in Mario Rui's favor, and he's just consistently winning those midweek battles in training. But I think that could tip at any moment, whereas with Di Lorenzo, I don't think that's the case at all. I think Di Lorenzo is 100% guaranteed a starting spot, regardless of the fact that he's captain. It obviously makes it even worse for a potential sub right back because of the fact that he is captain. But yeah, I mean, his performances has been incredible. In center back, we're covered with Jesus and Ostigard. I can't see that many weaknesses in this team, to be honest. Dem is coming back in midfield, and Ndombele will pick it up. Honestly, I don't see weaknesses at this point, and I am making a video where I'm going to be addressing all these sort of things, especially comparing it to the bench that the other teams have. It's actually not my fault that video's not come out. I'm waiting for other content creators to, let's say, organize themselves for us to discuss that. But I hope that video is going to come out soon for you guys. And we've got another donation. Let's see. I have to see who that came from Mike. Mike's ex-dad. Thank you so much, Mike. Again, another huge fan of the channel. He says, I was impressed Kvara drove the ball himself, then annoyed he didn't pass, then he scored. Amazing player. I jumped out and off the bed. Mered versus Milan. He became Mershavin. Man, first off, man, go watch the game on the couch. Why are you watching it on the bed? It's just lazy, man. But I guess you're from the States and it's like breakfast time or like 9 a.m. So fine, okay. But, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you broke your leg or something. That's why you're on the bed. But anyways, I'm not going to judge you for watching games on the bed. That's beside the point. But yeah, Anguissa, wow. I mean, he did the whole field. And I thought, yeah, he's for sure going to pass it, for sure. And then no, he found that little bit of space to sneak that ball in. It's just incredible, guys. I think sometimes Osimhen doesn't let us play the way we did today, says Toto. Yeah, I mean, I think all three of our strikers, we play a bit in a different way. I think Simeone is really good at holding the ball. Osimhen is really good to play in behind. And Raspadori is really good at maybe coming into the midfield a bit more and supporting the build-up play. So it's three different styles. Depending on the opposition, one style might suit us more. What I will say is that when we do have Osimhen, we tend to maybe abuse the long ball a bit too much. But, I mean, we've played some amazing games with Osimhen. The first half against Liverpool was with Osimhen. Against Monza was Osimhen. So I wouldn't say it's... I wouldn't say he's penalizing us in any way. It's just different styles. And to be honest, they've all worked so far this year. We've played with all three starters and we've done well in every single game. So, I'm not going to start saying that that's a problem that we have. It's actually a positive thing that we have different styles. Shmuel Emma says, I voted no because Lobotka. Fair enough. Nicholas Wilger says, hey Dom, sorry I'm late today, but seems like a great win. Couldn't watch the match. Internet issues. Man, don't talk to me about internet issues. I had the worst stream in the first half, and then it got better in the second half. But all my pictures that I'll show you guys of my analysis in the first half is like someone was filming with a potato. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I had some streaming issues as well. Guy Roberts says, I find Lozano and Politano both really frustrating to watch. Clearly, they both really want to score, but that's all they're trying rather than helping the team. I think it really depends. I think, for example, Politano today had a few moments where he tried to score, where he shot the ball. I mean, one time it hits, what's his name, Rodriguez's nuts, which was really funny. Actually, my stream got suddenly better, like 1 second before that happened. So everything was really blurry. Then my stream like became super HD, and I just see this slow motion of a ball hitting someone else's nuts, which was, yeah, the timing of that. But I mean, yeah, he tried to shoot a few times. It did get blocked. He missed narrowly, but then he also tried passing the ball quite a lot. And we saw in the first half that a lot of the chances that we had, Kvara with a few, Zelinski with a few, Raspadori, all started with Politano on the right-hand side, dribbling, running with the ball, passing it. So he has that element where he does a little bit of both. And I think that's a good thing. I think it keeps defenders on their toes. If you've got a guy who's always passing it, then they know to always cover the pass. But if you've got a guy who sometimes cuts inside, sometimes passes, sometimes shoots, they don't really know how to tackle that. So even though it's not always the best decision, it plays with the defenders' minds, and then maybe eventually that insecurity is going to lead to a goal for us. So yeah, I like players that dribble and shoot and are different, or that do different things. Let's see, guys. I'm going to get 2 more comments, and then I'm going to go on with the analysis of the game. Do we need to talk of how long it took for the referee to give a yellow card, says Arsène Lupin. For which one? I don't know which one you're talking about. Let's see. Toto says, on Zerbin, I have a strange feeling he is being forced into the team by the president. Nepotism. I don't know. I don't think Zerbin has any ties with the president. I think he's completely unrelated, unless you know something that I don't. But yeah, I just think that he did a good Serie B season last year. Same with Gaetano. And I think that Spalletti wants to try different things out, wants to see if he can rely on these players. And who knows, maybe the club is moving towards a strategy of wanting to give a bit of value or add some value to, or increase the value of some of the players that they've invested so much into their growth during their youth career. Because, I mean, these guys have been playing for Napoli for 3-4 years, or have been in the Napoli youth systems or loaned out. But Napoli, you know, invested quite a bit into their growth, and maybe now it's time to see, okay, what can you do? And like Zanoli last year, you know, he had a few games. If we realize that he's no good anymore, then after 5 or 6 games, it's like, okay, that's it, you're done. And we haven't seen Zanoli since last year, so maybe we won't see Zerbin ever again. Who knows? Maybe he's already blown his chances, but at least he's gotten a few chances, right? Which is much better than it was a few years ago. Guys, there's over 50 of you watching live right now. Thank you to everyone that's watching, but there's only 38 likes, so there's a small minority of you guys that are clearly not enjoying the show, which is really sad. Unless you smash that like button, then it's really not sad. It's actually really awesome. So yeah, this is your chance to be awesome and feel awesome. But yeah, guys, no, thank you if you do smash the like button. It really helps. I'm gonna go on with the analysis. You guys keep commenting. I'm gonna get back to your comments during, you know, when I speak. But we gotta move on with the show. So let's go on with the analysis, guys. All right, so let's go straight to Napoli's first goal, because it happened so soon. It happened within 5 minutes of the game starting, and it was a really good goal. And this goal sets the tempo for, or it illustrates Napoli's tactic, Napoli's game plan. And the game plan here was quick 1-2s, but not small 1-2s. It was give the ball out to someone, and then immediately within 1 or 2 touches, the guy who made the pass has to run super long, and then the guy who's making the pass has to pass it down the wing, all right? And that's how we scored a lot of our goals. So we see this here. Kvara gets the ball. Mairo Rui makes a run. This time it's an underlapping run instead of an overlapping run, which is really interesting. You don't see many of those. Usually it's overlapping, but Mairo Rui makes a really good run. And look at Anguissa's starting position. He's already pretty much playing as a second striker at that point. And all of a sudden, you know, when he feels like it's the right time, he starts sprinting. He outpaces the two defenders there. And by the time the cross comes in, he's completely out-sprinted those two guys that you see that are now a few meters behind him. He's got the momentum with him to make a leap in the air, and it's a really good finish to score this goal because he is not close to the goal. He's got a defender that's right there next to him, but he did everything right. The tempo of his run, everything, the finish. So a really good goal by Napoli, and yeah, it was all about basically not allowing Torino to make blocks in defense, because I think what happened a bit last year with us was that we were a bit slow in maneuvering the ball. I think we had a few players, like for example Insigne, that loved to take a few touches, and I think that slowed the game down a little bit for us last year. Same with Fabian. Fabian loved to take a few touches. He wasn't exactly the quickest of players to release the ball, whereas this year we've got players like Kvara, like Zielinski. So especially on that left-hand side, we've got players that can play one-touch football and like to play one-touch football and like to run into spaces, which is something that, for example, Fabian and Insigne, they didn't really like to run into spaces, not as much as Zielinski or Kvara. So now all of a sudden Napoli's playing this super direct football. It doesn't allow teams to settle down defensively when they lose the ball, and we see goals this season from it, and we're scoring more than we have been last season. And we see this very similarly now, but on the other side, on the right-hand side, with Anguissa recovering the ball, playing a quick 1-2 with Di Lorenzo, and Di Lorenzo immediately knows that there's space in behind. And why is that? Because take a look at how Torino are playing. They're man-marking everybody. You've got from left to right, Torino are within a few meters of all the Napoli players. They even got two players coming in towards Di Lorenzo. That means that there's no one for 75% of the field behind them. That's the space that Napoli knew they could exploit because of the way Torino play, because they are man-marking, following Napoli all over the field. That's going to leave huge spaces, and Napoli, all they had to do was ping a few balls over the top and rely on the speed of Kvara, the speed of Anguissa, the speed of Politano, the speed of Zielinski, and obviously the physicality as well, which we'll see with Kvara's goal. So that's what we did. And as Mike was saying before, you know, like Anguissa took the ball for like 50, 60 meters, almost half the length of the pitch, and you'd think at any point he's gonna pass. He gets super close to the goalkeeper. At this point, he could pass the ball to Kvara, but I think he does the right option. I think he goes for goal. And obviously got rewarded because he scored. So, you know, it was the right choice in the end. Risky, but the right choice. And, you know, you could say that even if he had missed, it's an opportunity that he created for himself. He recovered the ball. He passed it to Di Lorenzo. He made the 50-meter run. So you wouldn't even complain that much if he had missed, right? Because it's something that 90% he created for himself, and that's the gap that he went in. I'm seeing a few friends turn up in the chat as well. So, what's up, guys? Appreciate you turning up on the chat. Let's see. TT says hopefully our center backs get rotated or even sub late. Feel like an injury is imminent, and TT is jinxing us right now. He says Kim Min-jae and Ramani look tired after that last game, played so physical. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know, center backs they usually don't get subbed off. They usually do tend to play a lot of the games. And but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think maybe today was one of those days where you think maybe it's worth putting Ostigard or Juan Jesus because we've got Ajax up next. We've got a few games. But I think this game especially was one that we needed our most physical guys, the guys that have the most confidence because Torino is a team that plays super, super dirty. They play super hard. They were the team last season with the most amount of fouls. This season, they're on the same trajectory. So we needed, you know, our toughest guys, our baddest guys. And we needed Rahmani and Kim. So maybe in the next one, not Ajax, but the one afterwards, maybe we'll see a center back change. Actually, I pretty much expect it. Maybe both even, because yeah, as you said, we do need to change things around. Anthony Navarro says Ricardo Rodriguez said he was top 3 left backs in Italy before this game, more like bottom 3 after Politano cooked him all day. I mean, Rodriguez had a nightmare of a game. He got hit in the balls. He got humiliated by Politano. So this guy has lost all rights to speak, if he can. He probably can't even speak after what happened to him. Let's see. David Char... Oh my God. Some of your names, guys. Oof. Some of your names. David Karstishvili. You must be Georgian. You must be like Kvara cousin or something, man. But can I just call you David? I'll just call you David. It says, Jack is not a pure striker, not a replacement for Ossi. Instead, need to incorporate Jack with Ossi and Cholito. It was initial thought of me, and after today's game, I'm convinced. Yeah, that's the other thing. You know, we keep thinking of Osimhen, Simeone, and Jack as people that are supposed to be replacing each other, as 3 separate things that can never play together. But actually, we've seen last year that Osimhen plays really well with a number 10 behind him. When Dries Mertens was with us, Jack can be that guy. He can be the number 10 as well. You know, we've seen him do that a few times at Sassuolo, where he was playing in behind Scamacca, who's a very, you know, similar player to what Osimhen or Simeone can be, because he's physical, he's tall, he's quick. So we know that Jack Raspadori can play like that, and I think that is an option that we do have. It's just that right now, this 4-3-3 with the one striker just happens to be going so well for us, so there's no point in changing it right now. How many non-regulars should play versus Cremonese, says Daniel Bowen, or asks Daniel Bowen. I mean, Cremonese is, I think, going to be one of the easier games of the season on paper, so I would change 3. I never like it when a team changes more than 3. I think it loses stability, and, you know, if you do end up losing that game or not winning, there's just going to be so many articles written about the fact that we changed too many players and all that. It's just not worth doing, guys. You really only want to change 3 players, even though you're playing against a team that's bottom of the league. So yeah, that's my opinion. I mean, we saw it against Lecce when we changed 6 players, we changed formation, some players changed their mothers. Man, I didn't know what was what anymore. Like, there's too much change, and we lost that game, or we tied that game, and it was a game that we really shouldn't have tied. So, yeah, 3 players tops, guys. But let's go on with the analysis, because that was the 2-0 goal. And then, you know, there was a moment in the 25th minute, which was super interesting, because you're winning 2-0. You'd think Napoli would calm down a bit. Instead, no, they were pressing super hard. This is, you know, Torino trying to play from the back. They're trying to play it around, but they've got absolutely no options. They end up playing it back to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper gets then pressed by Politano, who, look at where Politano is on the bottom of your screen. He gets pressed by Politano, and the goalkeeper eventually has to release the ball out of play, right? But what's really interesting about this, to understand the dynamics of how Napoli play, is that it's Zielinski that is the guy that's always supporting the pressing when Torino or the other team has the ball and is trying to play through the back, right? He's the one that's running around and trying to not get the Torino playmaker on the ball. And that's obviously, depending on how much the other team has the ball, that's going to consume a lot of energy. And he does that because Anguissa then is the one that has to save his energy for when we do have the ball. He's the guy making the sprints to get to the end of crosses because he's taller, because I think he's a little faster. So, it's not like Anguissa does all the pressing or anything like that. They are very good at knowing who does what. And it's interesting to know that, okay, Zielinski is the one that is actually defending the most in our attacking half. And that's not maybe something that's super obvious, right? Because you'd maybe think that Anguissa is more physical. He's the one that does most of the defending. But actually, I would say 50% of Napoli's defending does happen in our attacking half. And Zielinski is the guy in the midfield that does most of that. So that's a super interesting thing that I thought to share with you guys. Interesting for me. Maybe for you guys it's not interesting. But yeah, that's how, Zielinski and Anguissa split up their work. And again, going back to this whole Politano thing, right? I mean, you guys don't like Politano hogging the ball too much. I think it's crucial. I think the fact that he hogs the ball is what ends up giving you space in other areas of the field. So let's take a look at this example, guys. You've got Politano running down the right-hand side. So Torino's left back, Rodriguez, is completely, focused on Politano. All of a sudden, Politano cuts inside to the center. Now, that means that the left Torino center back has to come in and cover Politano, right? He's dragged in. That means that the right center back and the right back for Torino also have to come back to the left to cover the space that the center back is about to leave. That leaves Kvara on the wing, on the opposite wing, completely free. Now, obviously, once this happens, Politano has to be good enough to play the pass. And you might say, okay, he doesn't do that often, or he doesn't do that well that often, but a few times, or the times that he does do that, it's super dangerous. And in fact, in this occasion, he played it to Kvara. Kvara played it back to Zielinski, and Zielinski had a shot on goal, which was blocked in the face by one of the center backs. But guys, this wouldn't happen. Kvara wouldn't even have that space to receive the ball if Politano doesn't cut inside. So, it's not like he cuts inside and it's like, oh man, he's cutting inside. Like, no, he's doing it for a reason. It's useful at least 50% of the time, guys. So, it just provides a different element to Napoli's game, because Lozano, on the other hand, he loves to go down the wing, all the way down, which is also really good. It's also, for some situations, it's really good, especially when you're trying to do something very quickly, when you're counterattacking. Yeah, get down the line as fast as possible. Other times, this is the better approach. So it goes back to what we were saying before, how, sometimes you have Osimhen, and sometimes you have Raspadori, and sometimes you have Simeone, and it depends on who you're up against and maybe what time of the game it is. Same thing with Politano and Lozano on the right. It really just depends against who you're playing, what type of game it is. And I thought that in this game, Politano was instrumental in the first half for us to find spaces. But I don't know what you guys think about that, or if you guys feel the same way about that. And then we get to Napoli's third goal. And again here, it's very similar to the first two goals that Napoli have, which is as soon as someone receives the ball, in this case Zielinski is recovering the ball from Torino. They were a bit sloppy with how they controlled it. It was bouncing and everything. The first thought that Napoli has is playing the ball long. We saw it with Kvara on Mario Rui for the first goal. We saw it with Di Lorenzo releasing Anguissa for the second goal. He does this for Kvara on the third goal. The first thing he thinks about is, how can I release Kvara? Boom, straight, direct football, no messing around, we've got fast players, we use them, right? And I'm sure that if Osimhen was playing today, we would have also used Osimhen's speed as well. And what's really interesting about this, if you take this screenshot in particular, is that you've got Anguissa and Raspadori. Look at their position, right? It's like they're playing two strikers up top. Now, and they're quite far back, right? They're not pushing the offside line. What does this do? This brings the Torino defenders closer. Now, why is this important? Because it means that when Zielinski releases Kvara, there's space behind them. If Raspadori and Anguissa were... So if Anguissa was, for example, back in the midfield around where Zielinski is, I just want you guys to imagine if he was further back, right? Then they would have been able to gang up on Kvara. But because Anguissa is covering one of the center backs, and the center backs, one of the center backs has to stay pretty close to him, then Kvara is only one-on-one against a Torino player. Also with Raspadori's position, he's not right on the halfway line, So that means he's bringing the defender back, as in forward. Like, he's bringing the defender towards this side of the screen. Yeah, towards this side of the screen. Which means there's more space on that side of the screen. All right. Sorry, the camera's flipped, so it's not always so easy, guys, to do directions on here. But I think you guys know what I'm saying. So super intelligent play, positional play by Napoli. I don't know if this is something that they've practiced. I'm sure it is, or if it just happened to be that way. But that's what I spotted, guys. And Kvara's goal was incredible. And we spoke about our players being fast, being in the right position, but how about our strength? Look at this, guys. This guy is being pulled all over the place. I haven't seen people try to take shirts off like these, like this since 30-degree heat waves hit randomly in the UK and people would just all go topless for no reason. I don't know what I'm saying there. And I don't know what this guy was doing, pulling Kvara's shirt. Point is, Kvara resisted and he scored. And it was a beautiful goal. He showed a lot of strength. I'm sure in Georgia, they're super happy about this. Their star boy keeps on scoring. And, he scores left foot, right foot, speed, strength, headers, curling efforts, penalties, whatever, you name it, he can score in any single way, right? Which is incredible. The only bad thing about Kvara playing so well is the fact that now everybody knows about him, and sometimes that maybe is not a good thing, right? But yeah, I'm sure even if people now will all be speaking about Kvara, I'm sure De Laurentiis is not gonna sell him anytime soon. I'm sure he's got a few more years with us, or at least I really hope so, because he's such a joy to watch. And then the first half finishes with Torino scoring, and in the last 5 minutes we were winning 3-0. We did drop the ball a little bit. We did lower our attention. We did concede a few shots, a few close ones as well. For example, the goal that they scored, I think, is a little worrying about the fact that we let the ball bounce so much in the box, and we let Torino score, and we didn't close the ball enough. We see here that the ball actually travels through under the legs of two defenders, so I think we were a little unlucky there. It was a mix between, I think we could have done a little better and we were a little unlucky, because if the ball was, traveling a little bit higher, it would have been blocked by Kim. Meret, I think he saw this a little late. He did get some hands onto it. Not good enough, in my opinion, but I'm not going to overly criticize him for this. This was very difficult to see. Look at all these bodies in front of him. I think he sees it late. He's obviously he knows that there's a potential for a deflection, so he also has to dive late. He can't dive as soon as the ball is hit. He has to wait until the ball has cleared those two defenders to know for certain that it's going to go in that direction and not going to be deflected elsewhere, and then he dives. So he didn't really have enough time to react. So I'm not going to go too much against him. And the first half ends 3-1. And now I'm going to go back to the chat and see what you guys have to say. Make sure that you guys are smashing the like button. I'm sure you guys are. I'm seeing there's like a few of you that haven't done it yet. There's 65 likes and 66 viewers. So I don't know who this person is that hasn't liked it, but I don't know, man. You're clearly in the minority. Zambo super says Toto. Minjay super. How many non-regularship players? Oh, we already answered that. Toto says, anybody notice Zielinski seemed a bit pissed off when he was subbed? Yeah, a little bit. I noticed that too. He didn't shake everybody's hand, but I think it's just one of those where I think he wanted to score. He wanted to do a little better today. But I like that. I like the fact that they exit the field and they still feel like they could have done a little more. They could have played a little more. It's nice to see. As long as they're not making a huge scene out of it, it's fine. You want that little bit of almost like selfishness or competitiveness, right? As long as it's not anything toxic. Anyone else worried that some Napoli key players might be purchased by bigger teams? Says ZA. I mean, that's always a threat, but I honestly don't think Napoli is in a position right now that they need to sell. We sold already so many players. We lowered our salary levels by a lot. So I actually think now we have a bit of a buffer where even if a player does get an offer from some other club, we're not in a position where we need to sell. And we're actually in a position where, if someone offers Kvara 5 million a year, Napoli's in a position that can say, yeah, you know what, we'll do that too. Because of the fact that actually they've released so many other players, right? I think they did keep themselves a bit of a buffer in case one of our players starts performing way above expectations and we need to renew his contract. And there are some renewals that are about to happen. We've got Meret that's about to renew. We've got, I think, Lobotka that's about to renew. I wouldn't be surprised if we renew Kvara even though we just signed him. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. So it's I think we're fine. We're fine on that. George Zagania says Napoli should keep those key players for sure at least 2 years. And guys, think about it. If Napoli is fighting for the title, let alone winning the title, right? And it's passing the group stage in the Champions League and maybe getting to the quarter semifinals, why would a player leave Napoli? You guys saw the stadium today. It was packed. The atmosphere was unreal. They were chanting all game. Everybody loves these players. This is the best place on earth to play football. Like, hands down, the best place on earth to play football if things are going the right way. I don't know if you guys follow these guys on Instagram, but if you check out their stories and you see where these guys are living, they've got a view of the Gulf of Naples. Like, okay, you want to go play for Man City? Man, I've lived in the UK. It's rainy, it's gray, it's cold. It hurts your face when you go outside. Like, why? I mean, obviously, you would do it for winning the Champions League or winning the EPL, but if Napoli can build a team that can compete for winning the Serie A and can compete for the top 8 places of the Champions League, I think players would like to stay. And we saw that with Zielinski, guys. Zielinski was offered to go to West Ham, which is in London, for a lot of money, right? They were going to offer him a huge salary. And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good in Naples. So it's really weird. I feel like some players and people have a misconception about, why would anybody want to come to Napoli? But then actually players very rarely leave soon after coming to Napoli. No one like escapes Napoli, No one's like, oh man, I had a horrible time here, I need to leave. Like, everybody stays like 10 years, Koulibaly stayed 8 years, Mertens 9 years, Insigne, he's lived here his whole life and then he left when he was 31. Even players like Fabian stayed 4 years. Ospina, 3. I mean, these are guys that have lived in all these places, played in great teams, or, have had amazing offers on the table and they've decided to stay. So I think playing football in Napoli, I think once you actually experience it, you realize how nice it is. And yeah, I don't think anyone's rushing to leave at this point, or really has ever rushed to leave after just one season at Napoli. I can't think of that many players, to be honest. So let's go to the second half, and really the second half is super low tempo. Napoli are responsible for that. They decided to, not risk things too much. They weren't maybe pressing as hard. They weren't just the tempo just kind of dropped. And the best thing that happened, well, there was two really nice things that happened. One was Juric almost attacked the fourth official. What was going on there, guys? I don't know. I mean, this guy is crazy. This guy, I swear, I feel like every time I see Juric, I see him in a fight. Whether it's preseason and he's about to fight the sporting director, I don't know if you guys saw the video of this summer, or whether he's against us and he's always picking a fight, but he was literally about to attack the fourth official. And like the fourth official, like look at him there, he's like getting ready as well. Juric has to be held back by his assistant coach. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh, and I missed a $2 donation by Mike Xtad, who says, I got a COVID booster and I'm dead, so I'm in bed, because I was messing with him, saying that why is he watching the game in bed? So I hope you're doing better, man, or hope you get better. But thank you. And yeah, I mean, this was so funny. This was so funny. Like, why did he get held back? I wanted to see Juric just knock this guy out so bad and get a lifetime ban. Oh, that would have been so special. But alas, it didn't happen. And then the other really nice thing that happened in this game is Kim. You guys saw this. I mean, there's a ball that he's protecting. It's going out of play. He could do so many things. He could let the ball run out of play. He could put it out of play himself. Instead, no. Kim decides to backheel this ball back to Anguissa. I mean, this guy has the confidence of prime Koulibaly. He's playing at prime Koulibaly level. Now, obviously, Koulibaly did it for many more games and many years. But can I say, he's now played about 10 games for us. I don't remember one mistake. And I don't think Koulibaly, even in his prime, could say that. I honestly cannot think of 10 games in a row where Koulibaly didn't make at least one a minor. Like, this guy is so concentrated. It's actually crazy. 0 mistakes. He won Player of the Month for September. And he had huge shoes to fill. Like, it just shows the character that he has. It's completely crazy to me that a guy can just come in, replace Koulibaly like this. It's incredible. I'm speechless, and I'm super happy that we have him. It's great. So yeah, I mean, he's been amazing for us, and that was pretty much it. We had a few other moments in the game. We had a really good Meret save, which is why I think, even though he could have done a little better on the first goal, I don't think he played bad. This was a really good save. The ball was coming in really fast, a little central, but he had to nonetheless react super quickly. And we had this moment with Di Lorenzo that was really interesting, where he basically was allowed to run the whole length of the field and get on his left foot and shoot. So Torino have a lot to improve on in terms of closing spaces down. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the analysis, and this is my player ratings, right? So I don't know. There's only one player that for me I didn't particularly like, and that's Elmas. It's difficult to judge Elmas because, I mean, he came on to the game. We were already 3-1. The players around him were pretty tired or trying to save energy, so it's kind of difficult to play in that context. But when I see Elmas, I see a guy with so much potential. I don't expect him to be at Kvara's level, but I expect him to do something really nice every single time, and to come onto the field with that motivation and that desire. And sometimes it's lacking, and sometimes he doesn't really show his potential, and maybe I'm a bit harsh on him, to be honest, but I just wish he did it a little bit better, a little bit more. The other subs, they all, I think, contributed here and there. Lozano had a few opportunities, I think a little selfish at times, actually, but we'll say that was a good thing. We'll say that he tried to find a goal. He tried to get on the score sheet. Oliveira had a few good interventions defensively. Simeone as well defensively did well. He came back and did a lot. And Ndombele, a bit 50-50, sometimes they did a few things right and other times he was a little sloppy. But, when we think about the starters, obviously Anguissa gets man of the match. 9.5 out of 10, guys. I don't give out 9.5s a lot. I really don't. I've given out a few 10s in some very, 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 very special moments. 9.5 in a game where I'm not trying to inflate these scores. It really shows how good of a game he had. 2 goals, 2 very different goals. One good timing, header. The other one, incredible strength, speed. And then he just dominated the midfield with amazing tackles. He was the subject of 6 or 7 fouls from Torino. He was classy on the ball. He had like this, at the end of the second half, he had this 1-2 with Ndombele where he gave him the ball with his heel, with a little flick. So, he was just special today. Just a special performance by Anguissa. And that's why we have a poll today about whether he's the best midfielder in the league. And I think him and Lobotka both can argue that they are the best in the league. And then I want to reward Kim and Rahmani. I mean, they were just everywhere. Especially Kim. Headers, blocks, back heel, slide tackles. Incredible performance. And yeah, it's just you have a sense that everything's going to be fine when Kim's playing. You just know that 9 times out of 10 he's going to get to the ball, probably more than 9 times out of 10, and 99 times out of 100 he's going to get to the ball if it happens to go anywhere near him. But Rahmani as well. Rahmani was super good today. He was going at it. He was also, in blocking, header, playing passes. He improved a lot. There was this one moment in the first half where I saw a clear difference in how he evolved as a player. I remember a goal that we conceded against Atalanta 2 years ago, where I think it was Muriel had the ball and he was approaching our box and Rahmani kept backing off, and Muriel scored, right? And this time there was a Torino player that was approaching the box, and instead Rahmani went up and faced them and blocked the window of opportunity for this guy to take a shot, right? So we just see this extra confidence that he has, this extra ability to take risk, this extra he knows he's a good defender. He knows what he needs to do, and he does it extremely well. Mairo Rui with an amazing assist to start off the game with the first goal. Di Lorenzo was really good going forward as well. Also, technically has an assist with the pass to Anguissa and almost got himself a goal. Toto with the $2 Australian donation says for the kids. Dom, thank you, Toto, for the super chat. I appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, the defense played really well. Meret, I gave him a 7 because I think yeah, he could have done a little better maybe on the goal, but I think he reacted super well, and he stayed cool when Torino were pressing him. He wasn't so good with his feet as other games. I think he lost the ball a few more times, but he stayed cool. He didn't panic too much. I didn't get a sense of insecurity from Meret today, and I'm not getting that sense of insecurity anymore from him. So he's growing a lot. Lobotka and Zielinski had a good game. I wouldn't say it was their best games, but it was very nice. Politano did well. Not, his best ever game, but I think as we talked about it before in the analysis, he was instrumental a few times, a few good passes, hit Rodriguez in the nuts with a shot, so that's always a 0.5. Like, if you are responsible for a nut shot, that's a plus 0.5. Like, that's part of the rules and regulations of how I make ratings, right? It's like goal is like +1, nut shot is plus 0.5, all these things, all right? So that's why he's got 7.5. Raspadori, I think, could have done a little bit more. I think he was a little absent. I expected him to be a lot more involved in the game. I expected him to take a few more shots to, just ride the wave that he's made for himself over the last few weeks. Goals in the Champions League, winner and in the Serie A, winner in the Nations League. But just he was a little shy, just a little shy today, Raspadori. And Kvara, 8 out of 10. I think similar maybe to the Milan game. Not his best performance, because we've seen Kvara do amazing things, amazing things, but still a really good performance. He scored, which was an incredible goal. He did the pre-assist for Mairo Rui, so 8 out of 10, guys, is a super good score. Super good. We're seeing, 9, 8.5s, 9.5s, but that's just because some of those players had maybe one of their best ever games, but 8 out of 10 for some of you that are new to the channel, that's still amazing. There's not many 8 out of 10s throughout the season. So I think, so don't think that Kvara, he's only fourth best today. No, fourth best is good, guys. It's still a good performance, but a little less than other games. Like, for example, I thought he had a better game against Monza, for example. And finally, Spalletti, 8 out of 10, because I think he had the right strategy. We scored 3 goals in a very similar way, like I explained to you guys in the analysis. And I think he made substitutions at around the right time. He didn't underestimate this game, which is fundamental for us. I think, coming after the break, we needed to keep the momentum and the hype and the enthusiasm up, and we've done that, mission accomplished. So Spalletti did well, 8 out of 10. Lasha or Yasha says, welcome from Georgia. Yeah, guys, shout out to all the Georgians that watch this show. I mean, I know that there's a lot of you guys out there. I see the analytics of this channel, and there's at least 25% of you right now that are watching this from Georgia. So if you're from Georgia, you're in your room somewhere thinking, I'm the only guy from Georgia here. No. There's 25% of you at least that are watching this right now. So Dulce MJ says 9.5. Sheesh. I know you don't hand those out very often. Yeah, as I said, I don't do that. I don't do charity out here, Toto says, check out Trio Mandili from Georgia on YouTube if you can too. All right, I'll make a note of that. So yeah. Always interested to know about other creators out there. And Ndombele 6, decision making wasn't great, didn't get into the groove until the 83rd minute, and even then it was all slow paced, very average in my opinion, missed wide open Simeone run. Yeah, I mean, I was debating a 6 or a 6.5 for Ndombele, so I was 50-50 on that. I think now that you've written that down, Anthony, I agree with you. Maybe I should have done a 6, considering that I gave Elmas a 6 as well. So maybe that's the only little thing that I did maybe overvalue. But let's see some of the stats of today's game. Let's see what we had here, right? Let's go over the stats. Let's go over the table. So we've got, let's see. We've got, okay, obviously 3-1 for us. Torino actually had more shots, which is surprising. I don't remember Torino having that many shots. I guess they all came in the second half or towards the end. They even had more possession. I mean, yeah, these things are a bit misleading. It says they had more possession, a similar pass accuracy, same number of passes as us, actually 5 more passes. So you would assume that they had more shots. You would assume that they were playing at the same level as us. The reality is that we finished the game within 12 minutes when it was 2-0, and we pretty much, decided to let Torino play in the second half, and we just controlled the game and just made sure nothing that they did was too dangerous. But look at that, 17 fouls against 4. They are a tough team to play against. And then this is the table, guys. While we wait for the games around us. I mean, there's some important games today. If I'm not mistaken, we have Atalanta. Who does Atalanta play? Let's see. Atalanta plays against Roma. No, Atalanta played against Roma last week, and they play against Fiorentina, which is not easy. And then we've got Roma that play right now against Inter, so that's going to be an interesting one as well, guys. So yeah, maybe Roma Inter 6 against 7th, so maybe not too interesting. I'm kidding. It's still early, but yeah, it's cool to see, you know, Udinese up there, Lazio. I don't think many predicted Lazio to be in the top 4, 7 games into it. But yeah, hopefully a few of these teams start dropping some points. I don't know who Udinese plays against. Let's see. Verona, and then Atalanta. So by next week, one of those teams will definitely drop points. Right, so talking about next games, these are our next games. We've got Ajax away from home on Tuesday night, okay? Very, very important game for our Champions League run. And then we play against Cremonese, who are really, really struggling this year. Maybe their best player from last season, Gaetano, has left. He's with Napoli, but he's not playing much for us. I think he was sick today. That's why he didn't play. And they've got, I think, the weirdest logo. Like, their logo is just all over it's wild. I don't know if they need a redesign or not, but it's wild. Absolutely wild. It's kind of cool though. It's kind of like, different. Then we got Ajax again, and that's at home. I mean, if we could potentially get 4 points out of these 2 games, then I think we're pretty much qualified. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident we would beat Rangers at home. So yeah, I think we need 4 points out of here. If we draw against Ajax in the next game, I don't think it's too bad. And then we've got Bologna 4 days after that, 2 Sundays from now. And then only after the Bologna game do we finally get a full week rest, and then we have Roma. And that Roma game could be a huge game for Napoli. Let's assume we win against Cremonese. Let's assume we then win at home against Bologna. If we can get points away at Roma, then, and at that point we're almost a third of the way through with the season, then I think at that point we could really, really start thinking about talking about the title. I'm not even going to start that now. I'm going to wait until that game, right? And then after that, we'll see. Because also we have to see how Roma do, right? Are Roma going to be title contenders? What are they going to do against Inter today? So that's going to be super interesting to know as well. Let's see what the chat is saying, guys. What do you guys think about all this? Let's see what you guys think. All right. The Portuguese does not deserve anything else, says Lasha123. I think he's talking about Mario Rui being awarded an 8, and that it's a correct score. Yeah, it's definitely a correct score. And now, guys, I just want to close off the stream with what Spalletti had to say at the press conference.